I know it's not Henry, but I feel like it. I want to say it's Henry.
And Henry is such like American name
I know.
for this
I'm pretty
for
sure
an
it
anime.
starts. I'm pretty sure it starts as
Makishima, Kagami,
Henry.
Henry.
Um,
Hello, fellow weaves and otakus. This is Anime Fix, where you get your fix for all things anime. I'm Chase.
and I'm Lance.
Hello, Lance.
Hi, Chase.
It was a little later than normal, isn't it?
It is. It is because you slept in.
I
again.
did sleep in, and it was worth it. It was worth it. It's halfway through the day. We've usually posted by now, but it is what it is. Let's get this out of the way first, because I wanted to make sure everyone knows I was wrong. It's not manga. It's manga. I concede, Lance.
You're welcome. Anything I can do to educate you on all things Japanese culture, of which I know very little about.
And I mean, you know more than me about that. That's for sure.
Well, I have a cheat. Tori knows a lot more than I do, so
yes, that's
I learned
true.
from her.
What did you watch? I mean,
the king of recap here.
I am the king of recap.
I watched season 1 of Psychopaths.
Granted, I did watch season 1 of Psychopaths, but 3 years ago.
Yes.
But I did watch a bunch of recaps, and it all came flooding back to me.
Excellent show. Excellent show.
Well,
everything.
You can't say excellent show. You can say excellent season.
All right, excellent season 1. I don't know if I'll watch past season 1.
Why? I actually haven't watched past season. Well, no, I've watched past season 1, but I got bored of it.
I'll probably watch past season 1 eventually. I'm just upset because I spoiled a main character doesn't make an appearance back.
Spoilers alert, because we're going to talk about this.
Yeah. So one of the best characters ever written, Kagami, doesn't make a return back in season 2. He does eventually return back in the final season, but I really liked his character arc, and I felt like, even though in the story of season 1, it came to a close, I felt like the end opened up more to explore just on him in particular. And so maybe they come to back to that in season 3, but I'm not patient enough to wait.
Yeah, that's fair. For
now.
You couldn't just get behind board with Akane? I like Akane a lot. She's steadfast in her values. She's the good cop. That's why her second pass doesn't go up.
All of the characters are really good. Kagami really just sold it for me.
Yeah, I mean,
he had the most.
He's a favorite character for sure.
He's a favorite character, and that's obvious very quickly. But I felt like his character had the most nuance, from how he started to where he was to his perspective on things, and we learn a lot as we learn more about him. We learn just how skilled he is as a detective compared to, say, some of the others, because of people that he's encountered through his career.
It's true. So like after those two introductions, well, mostly Kagami or Kogami, however you want to say it, Kagami. You know, you're the leading expert of pronunciation. So Kagami.
That's not true. Kagami, it's Kagami.
Kagami. Okay. Kagami.
I'm pretty sure that they say Kagami in the show. So, sure. But
Kagami.
It's been a couple weeks.
I feel like we should give him some more backstory a little bit. So I think we should start off with talking about but episode 1, and kind of give the gist and the theme of the show, as far as like what's the sybil system, what are inspectors, and what are enforcers, and that whole scenario. So open up the scene for us, Lance. So describe it. How's episode 1 coming up?
Okay, so paraphrase. We're first introduced to Inspector Akane, the girl.
Yeah.
The girl main
character. First day on the job, right?
First day on the job, and she shows up to a case that is in progress. There is a an individual who's psychopath, his I don't know if it's see this part probably gets explained further on, but
Yep.
there's several metrics. There's your psychopath, there's your crime coefficient, and then there's your hue, and all these factor into determining the likelihood that you will become a criminal. So I'm not sure which metric was. Probably all of them were high, but I'm not sure. I think it was the psychopath. But there's a gentleman who is uh, running. He's being they're in pursuit of, and this person also has kidnapped another person. And so not only are they after this individual, but they're trying to save a victim. And so she shows up, and then we are introduced to. So we're introduced to the concept of the inspectors,
Yep.
and then there are the enforcers. The enforcers are supervised by the inspectors. They are utilized to do things that the inspectors can't do for fear that their crime coefficient. So enforcers are individuals whose have been labeled latent criminals, which means that their crime coefficient, their hue, their psychopath is exceptionally high. So that puts them in this unique thing where they're not so bad that they are criminals. They just have the likelihood of being criminals. So they are utilized to do tasks that could put the inspectors at risk to become
Yep.
latent criminals.
Because I think was it Kagami or was it the other enforcer that was like the best way to find a criminal is to use a criminal, right?
Yeah, so that was the one who said that, I think, was the older gentleman.
The older gentleman. Yep. Okay.
Kagami was pretty,
He's pretty
silent.
quiet. He's pretty
Yeah.
quiet first episode. Yeah.
And then there was the younger kid who has, we learn something very unique about him, but later
Yep.
on, and I think it's in the same episode, or maybe it's a couple episodes in, but he was more talkative. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the older gentleman that said that.
That says it. Yeah. I know because I recommended, I think on this podcast, I recommended SAO to you and I recommended Psychopath to you, right?
Yes.
So Psychopath you watched first, which I knew you would. But as soon as you watched the first episode, I think you texted me and was like, I'm already hooked.
Yes.
Which I knew you would be, especially because the first episode of Psychopaths is a banger. It definitely introduces you to all the concepts, the morality of the situation, of the world, and if we have free will and stuff, I think it was really cool. Was that like what your original reaction was to the first episode, or what was it?
So my original reaction, well, one, it dinged all the bells in my head of the type of entertainment that I like. The cyberpunk theming, which in and of itself has a whole slew of characteristics like the dystopian future, the technology, the sort of noir sense to it, and just the scenes, like the pictures that were painted in this episode were just so alluring. And specifically, what threw me off was the opening. So the opening actually isn't going into this in progress crime. The opening is actually a flash forward to something that we're going to encounter later, which threw me off because I was like, well, how is this related to this? I at first thought that was the in progress crime.
Yep. No.
And then it sort of, we moved on. I was like, oh, okay, that must be something else that we just haven't seen yet. And then we eventually come to it.
Yep.
But
which is cool.
it hit all those bells. But I really, really enjoyed, I think what really got me, and I told you this afterwards, is the concept of the sybil system.
Yeah.
So the sybil system, we're technobabble aside, how it works. What it does is it evaluates each individual for their likelihood of becoming a criminal. And what was unique to me in the first episode was when they do put down a criminal, they almost put down the victim.
Yeah.
Because the sybil system rated the victim as being within a range that was worthy of Annihilation.
I think it's over 200, isn't it?
No, because Kagami, I think at one point his crime coefficient is, or his psychopath is said to be over 200.
Oh, really?
I think it's over like 300 probably.
300. Oh, wow. I know
I
that.
think. I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember. I think
Because in the
I'm pretty sure.
first episode, when he's trying to do things to that girl, the kidnapper or like killer or whatever, right? His is 193, and he tries to incapacitate him, but he's on stims, so he doesn't. And then I think I'm not sure what it was when he actually exploded, but to go on to that, the cool thing that they use to determine what your psychopath or hue or crime coefficient is what's called a dominator. And a dominator is their guns that they use that shoots a laser in your eye to give you the information, which was really cool. And it speaks to you because it's tailored. Each dominator is tailored to the enforcer or
only
inspector.
you can hear it.
Only you can hear it, yeah. And then we get the first episode does a really good job of explaining things without technically explaining things. Yeah, which is really cool because it's just showing you. Because you're kind of seeing it through the inspector's eyes because it's her first day, so she has to learn all this stuff, and we're learning with her, which is great storytelling in my opinion. But the dominator, it assesses your crime coefficient or your psychopaths, and you point it at someone, it tells you their score, and the gun actually switches to a paralyzer or transforms and turns into deadly force, and pretty much just makes you explode. I don't know how it does it, but it does.
Yeah, and I think the many ways. So we see quite a few people get killed with the Dominator throughout the whole series, and there's like each one is unique. So it's not like there is one. Like it really depends. Probably on where it hits you, because there's an episode later on where a guy's entire back half disappears. So it's like he got sliced down the center and the back half just disappeared. I think in the first episode, I think his entire upper body explodes.
Exploded.
It's just legs. I mean, it's a really gruesome way to carry, like, these people are killed and how they're crazy. Anyway, there's a lot.
It's just Lance describing his your fantasies of how to kill someone.
Oh yeah. No.
I know.
I think that is an important thing to point out, because
they
could have easily just said that each time it hits you, it just does the same thing. But they really showed how, like any other gun or any other weapon, where you get struck.
Yep.
Will differentiate how the effect happens, right? If it's
because there's another episode where a guy's running away and it hits his arm and only the arm explodes, right? And he's just chilling over there without an arm.
Yeah, so it's not like it's one shot kill, like it's an actual gun, and so it needs to hit like a kill point.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. But overall the first episode was definitely what got me hooked, for sure.
Yeah.
What other things did you write down?
So obviously I didn't, I did not write anything down because I was
24 episodes long. Yeah.
24. I was just, just hammering it home. But in that first episode, but back to something I said, they almost put down the victim, because their metrics were in the annihilation, like in the annihilation range, and I thought that was very unique because they never really fully explained, that I remember, what it's evaluating. But from that moment, from that scene, that tells me that they're evaluating one of the major factors that are determining this is like your heart rate, right? Like your anxiety levels. Are your anxiety levels super high? And I don't think anyone's unique in that. If they were in a hostile situation like that, that they wouldn't be panicked, that their heart wouldn't be racing and just not know what the heck is going on. And so it really brought up a good question for me is so what other things are being looked at? Because if this person is just really anxious and panicked right now, is that worth killing them over? Is that like, or is it, do they see that sort of anxiety as something that is a significant impact on an individual's likelihood to be a criminal? and
Yeah,
they were going to kill her, no
I
questions
th-
asked, if it
I
wasn't for
think
the
what
inspector.
I think what they were saying was she's too traumatized to a point where therapy won't help anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean that.
But like it's going back to like what you're saying, like what factors are they using to determine that? Are they using heart rate and stuff like that? Because if the heart rate's way too high for a panic situation, like you said, how does that determine if therapy is going to work?
Well, shortly after that, so it was Kagami who was going to put down the victim,
Yep.
and it was Inspector Akane who paralyzed. I think she hit him right in the back,
Yeah.
which they call out later on. It's how he's like, yeah, you hit him in the right spot. He just can't walk for a few days. But after she put him down, and then they paralyzed the victim,
Yep.
and they evaluated her, they said, oh, her score's already coming down.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you were I mean, yeah, I think they did say that she's too traumatized that therapy won't help. But, like, if she was already coming down, if her score was already coming down after the situation was resolved,
Yeah.
that tells me, that to me as a viewer says that a big focus is like heart rate, and like, which
I
is
think
the
so.
center of like your anxiety or your panic, your breathing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm just trying to cheat real quick and look up what the Psychopath looks at. Oh wait, Psychopath takes place in 2112. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. 2112. And it looks at your mental, your emotional state, uh, um, stress levels, and criminal desire. Doesn't
But
say anything.
yeah. So
I don't know.
what is criminal desire?
You thinking about killing someone? Maybe you're thinking about committing a crime, but I don't know how it.
Yeah, but if I'm like at a store and I go like, I really want that candy bar, but I don't want to pay for it, like,
How likely you are to take it? I guess.
yeah,
I don't know. Huh.
like how do you
It's,
evaluate the likelihood that I'm actually going to do it?
well, it's all
Am
those.
I already using my
It's that
stress
basement.
level
It's in the basement of the 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 CPD or whatever it's called.
in the civil system?
Yeah, the civil system. The civil system tower. It's in the basement of it. That's
Yeah,
that's what's determining it.
yeah.
But then it just goes.
Well,
So
go
before we
ahead.
get into that, because that's at the very end, right? So I like the progression of the stories because it's not all one story, and like it's not one story throughout the whole time. I mean, like, yes, there's that background theme of Shogo or whatever his name is that Kagami is looking for, right?
I think it's Shogami.
Shogami, yeah, that he's
I'm
trying to
cheating here
find.
real quick.
That's fine. He's trying to find his. He's trying to find him because he actually doesn't have a psychopath. He's asymptomatic or whatever, right?
So he can control his
He
psychopaths.
can control his
Yeah, he can
psychopaths.
He is he's what the civil system classes as an asymptomatic criminal,
Yeah, they can
which
control the psychopaths.
control psychopaths. So
Yeah,
this person can engage in all sorts of criminal activity, and
nothing will
per the
change.
current structure of the civil system, it cannot determine what they're
What they're
criminal
thinking
or
or what
not.
they're going to do. Which is cool, but I like them focusing on the smaller criminals and focusing on like how people are getting around the civil system.
The
The
helmets is a cool one.
the helmets is a cool one, but the craziest thing, not crazy, but the one that gave me nightmares was the art girl making.
One was super creepy.
Bro, is so like just like these people just walking by this fountain, or like that giant one where just a dead girl just chilling as an artwork, and I'm sitting there like, is no one seeing this? People just think it's
Yeah,
like
they
not a
think
dead
it's
body.
fake.
They think it's fake because they're not. They're the media hides all the bad news stories and hides all that stuff from everybody, so they're not akin to it. Like when that dude was beating the crap out of that one girl, I was like, they're just
Yeah, and they're
watching.
just watching because and the stress levels went up. Well,
Yeah.
I think but they didn't know what they were looking at.
Exactly. And it was so, man, it was so, but the artwork, I'm just going back to that. I mean, like the artwork was nightmarish. nightmarish. I'm just sitting there like, I need to take a break from Psychopaths for a little bit.
It was a very creepy scene, I think, and actually, I don't. That was super creepy, but I think another thing that was really I think what was more unnerving to me was the sort of side story after her, the guy who kills her with his two dogs.
Oh, the cyborg dude.
Cyborg dude who enjoys hunting.
Yeah, but hunting humans.
Hunting humans, yeah. And so I thought that one was super, because that story's been done before in a different way, but still, like in the context of this, it was I thought that was very unnerving to me. But it was also very cool to see Kagami in this particular arc. He was the intended victim of this guy, and just to see how he handled the situation. Yeah. And it speaks a lot to him, because he could have easily gotten rid of that girl.
Yeah, Yuri.
We'll probably go. Yeah. Save himself, and he didn't. We'll get to that later.
Which is crazy that Sybil labels him as a latent criminal when he chooses to save other people instead of killing. So it happens a lot on a lot of the enforcers.
It does. I think one thing that gets called out is his obsessiveness.
Yep.
Because he lost an enforcer that meant a lot to him. To the
enforcer or inspector?
Oh, this is enforcer.
I thought they were both inspectors at the time.
So not Noza. It was oh shoot.
I thought that's why he's obsessed
Henry?
with Shogami.
No. So so first off, the guy's name is Shogo Makishima. Makishima is his name. I think it's. I know it's not Henry, but I feel like it. I want to say it's Henry.
Henry is such like American name for this.
I know.
For an anime.
I'm pretty sure it starts.
Makishima, Kagami, Henry.
Let me see here, because I know that it was on the specimen case.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I know I'm looking up the name, but it was an enforcer that he lost.
Really?
Yeah, but the enforcer actually. So just to tie this all together real quick, there is a main villain who is real notoriety, or well, we didn't know that he was the main villain at the time, but there was but this main villain is enabling other asymptomatic criminals, or
just criminals, right?
Or just criminals, to engage in these various behaviors.
Push them off the ledge.
What gets referenced a lot is the specimen case. Short story is, it was an artist who was killing women, well, just women and men, well, people, and putting them into graphic poses.
That's the one I hated.
And then the girl that you mentioned that we see in the show is his daughter.
Oh yeah.
So she kind of picks up after that. But
is he the dude in jail that they go visit?
No. So her father actually is part of the civil system.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because that's who tries to recruit Makishima into the civil system. So one of the craziest things about this show is that at the end, I'm going to go and say now, we learn that the civil system isn't actually like a necessarily a program. It is a hive mind of several asymptomatic criminals that have been added to the membership, and then collectively as a hive mind, they evaluate citizens of Japan for their likelihood to be a criminal. And so what we learn is that the civil system, when a new asymptomatic criminal gets discovered, their primary focus is to get that asymptomatic criminal, because adding them into the system helps them evolve more over time and get more accurate with their evaluation of the citizens. Yep. where we learned this is when they were trying to recruit Makishima, the individual who was chosen to try and recruit him was the primary or the secondary antagonist of the specimen case, the father of the creepy girl who also made graphic poses of human remains. And what sets, and also is the individual who sets Kagami off, because I'm still looking because I keep getting distracted. Kills a really good friend of Kagami who is an enforcer in one of those graphic poses, and causes him to become so obsessed with solving this crime that he falls down the rabbit hole and gets labeled a latent criminal.
And then switches from enforcer. I mean, that's from inspector to enforcer.
Inspector to enforcer.
Yep. We also find out that he shares a cyborg body, with the chief of police, right?
So the cyborg, I think the chief of police isn't. I think the chief of police is just an identity that they choose so they can be in the thick of it.
Oh, so all the asymptomatic people switch his bodies with her, like, whenever?
Yes. She plugs in. So we see a scene where I guess she plugs in. There's a plug-in space on the back of her head, and she's able to, when it's connected, they are able to communicate with each other.
And she can override her dominator, right?
She can override her dominator.
Yeah, because of what happened with one of the enforcers when he found out.
Oh yeah. So she killed him with her dominator.
Because it's Sybil. Because Sybil can override their dominators.
Dude, did she override it, or did she just choose to kill him? Or
Well, she used a dominator, and remember, the dominator determines your psychopaths, and his isn't high enough to kill.
Okay. Yeah, so she kills him, completely eliminates him, and then says, "Oh, I guess he just ran away." So
I know. He was one of my favorite characters too, and I was so shitty.
Yeah, and his sort of story is very unique. He was labeled a latent criminal before he was just like a baby.
He was 5, yeah.
Yeah, 5 years old. And how, again, what are they looking at? Like, what at a 5-year-old level is your mental state? So, I mean, was he crying? Was he hungry? And you're
someone
like,
took his candy bar, and someone took his candy bar, and he was probably thinking, you know what I'm going to do with his face? Put it in the sand. Latent criminal forever.
Yeah. So what I really like about the civil system is how it's able to evaluate an individual and recognize where their stress levels are coming from, or what they're experiencing to a very small degree. And what I like about that is the idea that it can recommend, hey, you are really just crossing a threshold right now. You need to seek help. You need to go see your doctor. You need to go see a mental health specialist. You need to take medication. You need to exercise or eat better, and all that stuff. So sort of like help guide you, because there's so many times where I know with me, if I get super stressed, I'm already, by the time I know I'm stressed, I've already passed probably the point where I should have been taking a breather to calm down. And I think a lot of people are probably like that. So I think that the idea of the civil system looking at you that closely is kind of cool. What I don't like, and what sort of terrifies me about it, is the social score. Because really, what jobs you can have, I don't know of any. I'm sure there's more, but the biggest thing I remember seeing is what jobs you can have are determined by the civil system.
Well, so like I think it determines kind of what jobs you have, but like, don't you have to pass tests? Because like Akane got a perfect score on all tests, right? And she got to pick what job she wanted.
Yes, there is a test you have to take. Still, like, based on that score, civil determines where you're most useful.
But we talked about this, right? So like your credit score doesn't determine if you like what job you have, but it does determine what house you can get. It does determine what kind of cars you can get, right?
Well, so the thing about a credit score is it evaluates your public shouldn't say public, but it's a evaluator of your. So the credit score itself, I think, is a problem, right? And I think that needs to be revisited just as a concept. But I could open a very successful business, and I choose to only take cash, right?
Mhm.
I can prove through my taxes, and what other receipts and how however I choose to process the cash payments. I can show my income. I can prove my income, but I'll still have a crap credit score if I don't have any credit cards. If I never take it, so if I make a bunch of cash, my private business, and I pay for my car out of pocket, let's say I pay for my house out of pocket, I'm really making good money.
Yeah.
I never take out a loan for any of those items, or credit card, or a student loan, or whatever type of loan, some sort of revolving debt. I'll have a bad credit score, and no bank. Let's say I want to go big. I want to get reinvest my business and try to take it to the next level. And I go to a bank and I say, "Hey, I'm making all this money." A bank won't give me a loan.
Exactly.
Because even if I prove my income and my success, it won't give me a loan because my credit. So I guess the credit score doesn't necessarily evaluate your financial stability. It evaluates your debt management, how well you manage debt, right? And that's the primary risk that they're trying to mitigate when it comes to loans. But it doesn't, to my knowledge, doesn't limit the job you can get.
No.
It doesn't limit where you can go to school. It doesn't.
Well, it can if you can't live in a nice neighborhood.
Granted,
if you pay cash for everything, but how many people can pay cash for a house?
it's not likely, and not likely at all for anyone that we know. It is possible. I mean,
so it is possible, but I'm just speaking like realistically.
I think it is. I mean, it is highly anyone that we know. It is highly unlikely, but I mean, to say that it's not possible at all.
I just say
Anyway, you could pay for cash. You're just messing with me.
Yeah, I am messing with you.
Being
devil's advocate.
You could pay for cash, and that cash could get you into a neighborhood. Whether or not your credit score is good.
Mm-hmm.
Something interesting. It was just way off topic, but something interesting is so the founder of Square. I was watching an interview with the founder of Square, which is a lot of small businesses use that platform to process their payments. Mm-hmm. What I learned from that interview is that previously, if you wanted to accept credit card payments or any type of like payment like that, they had to do a credit check on you.
Really?
To receive money with a credit card, they had to do a credit check, and if you have a bad credit score, you wouldn't be able to accept payments for the credit card. You would be forced to only accept cash.
But with Square, you don't have to do that.
No. So Square, when they learned that, and I don't know how they do it, but yes, Square does not require a credit check to be able to receive credit card payments over the platform. That's just an interesting little fact right there.
Maybe it's because I don't know how it works at all, but like immediately thinking is Square takes the payment and then Square is the credit check, and then Square just pays their client on the back half. That makes sense to me. I don't know. Did you say, okay, so going on to, because we talked about this a little bit, going on the aspect of your social rating, right? Then you say China has that? I don't know anything about it.
I know so little about this, but there are headlines and musings out there that China is working on a social scoring system for their citizens.
Everyone sees that, right?
Let me look it up.
Because I think
I still haven't found that guy's name. I
know. Don't worry about it. We're way past it.
Social score China. Let me see that.
Yeah, I just think having a social score.
I think it's a bad idea.
I think it's a bad idea too. Not because there's no free will, I think, with social score because everything's determined for you. Just like with Sybil, I mean, everything's determined for you.
I forgot how we got on this topic. I know you asked me. We were talking about passing a test. I don't remember, but
I don't remember either. Yeah, I mean, we're way past it. You know.
Yes. So there is a social credit system that ranks citizens, and based on that score, you get certain perks.
Like,
so like in this particular one, I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it talks about like your internet performance. Based on your social score, you can get better internet speeds.
Wait, don't they have internet companies, or is all ran for the government?
You know, there's things that are said that they're independent, and then we come to find out later that they're actually managed by China, or people believe that everything that comes out of China is managed by the Chinese government, whether or not, you know. So I don't have any knowledge about that, but just that's one thing that is evaluated right there.
Huh. Going back to the anime, anyways.
Yes.
That inspector that is with Akane, I thought it was really cool to see how he saw all enforcers as dogs, and then his character progression throughout the whole story, he eventually becomes an enforcer.
And what we find out is the older gentleman that we referenced earlier is actually his father, who was an enforcer. The older enforcer was an inspector. We never really learn exactly what drove. He's the one that I heard talked about being obsessed, and that obsession is what drove him from inspector to enforcer.
Yeah.
But they have a really antagonistic relationship, and at the end, he becomes an enforcer just like his dad did. And another unique thing that they didn't necessarily call out, but we see it, is his dad is missing an arm. He has a robotic or a bionic arm. We don't know how he lost it. What we see at the end is his son is trapped in a situation, and he sacrifices himself to save his son. And his son, as he crawls out to get to his father, damages his arm irreparably.
Rips his arm off.
Yeah. And so it comes exactly like his father.
Comes full circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
he was so terrified of the entire time, and eventually, no matter what he did, he ended up in the same place.
I think the inspector job is just a stepping stone to get to enforcer.
You think the ultimate goal is all inspectors become enforcers?
Unless you're Akane, yeah.
What's unique about Akane is she gets put into so many situations where people are terrified that her crime coefficient, psychopath, is going to go up, and it never does. Or if it spikes a little bit, it very quickly comes down. Which
go ahead.
Which makes me think she is criminal or an asymptomatic criminal.
I don't think so. So I thought that too when I first watched it, but I don't think so because it does go up and down, but she stays around 50, 60, where Makishima usually keeps his, super, super low, like 10 or 15, right? Or like 0.
We see anywhere between 0 and I think 30.
For Makishima? Yeah. But Akane, I think her belief in her own values and the values of Sybil and stuff like that are what keep her so low, because she always thinks she's doing the right thing. And Sybil, when she finds out Sybil is Sybil, all the thing, she still believes in the system, even though she sees brains and tubes and all that stuff. She still believes in the system and doesn't say anything to anybody. And her crime coefficient doesn't go up because she believes in the system.
And she also recognizes that the system is flawed.
Yep. But she thinks that telling everybody right now would cause chaos.
Yes.
Yeah. So
her general acceptance of, and you said she thinks what she's doing is right. Well, Makishima also believed what he was doing was right. Yep. He believed that he was trying to free the citizens of Japan from the oppression of the civil system.
Yeah.
And where he took the left turn
is killing people.
Killing people. probably gets evaluated at some point in season 2 or 3, or maybe we never learn. But
Or we never learned because he died.
well, I mean, we never. Well, you've seen the whole season, right, or the whole show, right?
Not the whole show. I saw the end of season 1. You literally saw Kagami shoot him in the back of the head.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that people can't look into his history. I mean, they know his name, they know who he was. I mean, you could try to figure out.
Yeah, but he's not coming back.
No. I'm not saying he's coming back. I'm just saying we could learn.
Back.
No. We could learn what his motivation was, or what.
I think you're
well,
right.
We did
about
actually learn
motivation. Yeah.
Huh?
Because what you said was right. What wasn't it about him being him having the thought or belief that the Japanese people are being oppressed and they need to know the truth?
Where I think so, actually, this might be the answer to that question is why he took the left turn into being violent. Is Agami profiles him that the reason why he is who he is because Sybil never recognized him. No matter what he did,
that's right.
She always sort of. I mean, his score was always so low that he was nothing to her, essentially, and so that sort of lack of attention drove him probably to do more egregious and violent things to try and get that attention that he didn't have as a kid.
Makes sense.
So maybe that's why he took the left turn. So his belief was, that the system was oppressive, but he's like, you will notice me one way or the other. So
notice me, senpai. Notice me,
senpai. So he did all these horrible things, calm the entire time. Like you never hear him raise his voice. You see him do several horrible things. Never raises his voice.
Stone cold face. Just cutting that girl's neck. Just stone cold face. I can't believe Akane missed twice with that shotgun. Like, come on, Akane. What are you doing?
I mean, wasn't her eyes closed? I was more worried that she was going to shoot
the girl. I know. I was like, well, she's dead.
But yeah, that was. Oh, I think didn't they? They tried to keep that hush hush. Right?
What?
They didn't let out that the Dominator didn't work.
Oh yeah, they can't.
They said that Akane made a mistake. Right? Obviously, she made a mistake because the Dominator is perfect.
With the shotgun.
Do you think she would have had things happen to him? Or do you think she would have gotten reprimanded if she had killed him with not the Dominator?
Probably. But I don't know. I think if she would have shot that shotgun, it would have killed both of them because that shotgun has a wide spread.
And she still missed.
Could have hit one pellet on him. Not one. A stray pellet on the arm or something.
I loved. So one thing I really, really loved in this show is like the second half of season 1, the intro. The intro. This is not necessarily specific to the plot, but just the song and the animation and the art style, or the particular style of art, how they introduce, bring you into the show. I thought was very just. Not upbeat, but just because upbeat's not the appropriate word. Very fast paced and just shows you just how intense, heavy the rest of the season, once they learn who Makishima is going to be as they're chasing him down.
I don't remember it because the recap didn't cover that, but
well, there are scenes that you see. There are scenes. So in the intro, that we don't see the exact. Is exactly replicated, but we see those kinds of scenes play out throughout the series. So they at the beginning, before each episode, they sort of tell you what the end's going to be, without you knowing exactly how it's going to end. That it's going to come down to Akane, Kagami, and Makishima facing off against each other.
Yep.
And Akane is going to have to make a choice on what does she do? Because Akane has orders to bring Makishima in alive. Kagami wants to kill him for everything he's done. Says he's too far. It's not worth to bring him in. He's too dangerous. And so Akane has to choose between those two.
Yeah. That's true. Because doesn't Akane have the not have the ability, but like have the opportunity to kill him with that helmet, but chose not to. Chose to arrest him.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So Makishima took down Kagami. So sad. So sad to
So
watch my
sad.
favorite character
So
get
sad.
defeated. And in a bit of desperation says, kill him. And she has the help. So she had knocked him out. He says, kill him. And what does she do? Just handcuffs him and brings him in like she was supposed to.
Yep. I think maybe her hue would have changed if she killed him, because she would have thought like, was that the right thing to do?
Do we ever see her kill anybody?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting.
No, because she's not that guy, pal. She's not that guy.
I know she said, but I mean, she's paralyzed plenty of people.
Yep. Takes her a while
She's
to
done.
do that, right?
She's yeah. Kagami's been hit by her multiple times in the series. It's almost a running shtick.
Anime trope.
But yeah, but yeah, I don't think she ever kills anybody. I wonder if that is. I mean, I wonder if that's what really downfalls inspectors.
Killing people.
Yeah, because they're put in situations where they have to do a criminal act to maintain order.
Well, that's not what broke the other inspector, right? The father-son duo. What broke him was his father, dying in front of him.
That's true.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But he was getting progressively.
Yeah, he was getting
more far
worse.
Gone long before that. You even see him speaking to a therapist.
Trying to make his hue go down.
What did you think about the automate? So one, two interesting scenes and episodes that stuck out to me is the factory that makes the drones.
Yeah.
And how those people, because it's a round the clock job, they are completely isolated from society. There no internet, no. I don't even think they have phones, do they? They're only able to socialize with each other.
Yep.
Completely cut off from the outside. Huh?
And sybil doesn't exist there because they can't use their dominators.
Exist, or, yeah. Yep. They evaluate each person's hue. Which we find out it's public because of that one guy who keeps getting picked on. I forget what did they call him? Yellow, or they kept referring to him by his hue color.
Bullied victim.
Yeah, bullied victim.
Yeah. But it's higher than the other ones, right?
Just slightly, but also what he does is what we find out is that when it gets to a point where he can't take it anymore, it's getting risky. Yeah. He kills somebody to alleviate. Yep, makes him go back down, and so he just keeps getting moved, from department to So that's why they weren't able to find him until much later. But I thought that was like, what did you think about that with these people that are just completely isolated from the rest of the world? Like that's a job that exists.
There are jobs that exist like that, right?
Are there? Because I don't know. I thought that was
so. Do you know what Firewatch is? Like Markiplier played that game, Firewatch.
I know of it. I haven't watched it.
So Firewatch are, I'm not sure if that's what they're called, but they're people that stay by themselves in like a watchtower to look for fires and national parks and stuff. And they're by themselves for like I think 3 months by themselves, doing like just chilling by themselves for 3 months. So like you're in the middle of nowhere, middle of a park with no one coming around you, just looking for fires all day.
You still have the potential to communicate, right? Or are you?
No, there's no signal. So there's no signal or anything. They can talk to other Firewatch people, but they have to leave the comms open in case there's actual fire and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, that's only one example, but I thought that was like a good.
That's in a game, right? That's not an actual.
No, it's a real job.
It's a real job.
It's a real job. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's so unique to me. It's so not unique, but I never knew. I thought that would have been because people are so social. Even the most introverted of us are social. And so to isolate like that, I think is just I was surprised that everyone that was in this position had such a good hue, that weren't going crazy, you know. And then that supervisor makes the comment that, well, obviously Sybil must have put him here, the suspected criminal, because he is a person who can take being bullied to help relieve the stress from the other employees. That he was a whipping post. Yep. Like that's how these people view this another person. Oh yeah, he's just the personality type to be picked on. That's okay. It helps everyone else. So that one, I thought was a very unique circumstance. But I guess there are jobs like that now. Yeah. The other one was the fully automated farming system outside the city.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
I thought that was really cool too. The fact that they were able to automate all that farmland, so people just moved closer into the city.
Yeah, that was cool.
Completely just abandoned real estate just all over the place. I thought that was so cool. How they had gotten to that point where they no longer needed to import goods from any other countries, and so they were able to completely isolate, which ultimately helped the civil system become so powerful because there's less variation in people because they don't let anyone in and no one can go out.
True. Yeah. So I think this is a good stopping point because it's been about an hour and the little guy is going to get back soon.
Okay. We should have a part 2 of this.
We should have a part 2 if you want. Is that is that what you want to talk about for the next one? Or how is the next one going to go? Because we got stuff coming up, right? What's the plan?
Yes. So pending. I think that this would be a good part 2.
Okay.
And maybe what I'll do is we can go back and we can write, because right now we just kind of freeball talked about so many different things.
We did.
Went off topic multiple times, but
That's fine.
back and try to pick some major talking points that we can do for a part 2. Because I still think, and maybe I'll go and start season 2, so I can learn more about the show. But there's just so much that we never came close to talking about because we were rambling.
Yeah, we were rambling, but it's fine. It's our podcast. We do what we want. So, what do you want to plan for?
We can unpack. Huh?
What day do you want to plan for, to post?
Oh, whenever.
Well, okay, that's not a great timeline, but we'll continue this
before Sunday.
Okay, well, we'll continue this before Sunday. Post sometime, hopefully before Sunday, I think. But yeah, we got things that are coming up. Personal things. We'll discuss maybe later. Who knows? But we'll talk about more Psychopaths part 2. Maybe a little bit of season 2 because actually I don't remember anything about season 2. So maybe talk about that a little bit. But we'll
start doing what you do is watch recaps after everything. Exactly. And then that's where I take my notes, so that way I can fully engross myself in the anime and then take notes on the recap because that's not nearly as important.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, we'll catch you sometime later this week.
Right. Bye.